Hello, I'm MegaMat, and welcome to Millenial Falcon. Not Millennium Falcon, but Millennial, because when we were born. It's a pun. Fuck you. Today we're looking at the top 5 best soundtracks ever, so let's just get right into it with number 5. First and foremost, let's get Disney out of the way. With masterpiece after masterpiece, Disney musicals were killing it in the 80s and 90s. With movies like The Little Mermaid, Lion King, Toy Story, and even though I love the sultry voice of Randy Newman in the morning,
blah, 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 yada, yada, toys.
I would be lying if I didn't put Aladdin as my top pick. Love it or hate it, every song in this film is hardwired into your soul, and maybe, just maybe, always underrated and put down by the white man, the genre of films your mom would probably call black movies encompass some of the greatest music ever written. It would be impossible to make this list and not mention The Bodyguard. I mean, who didn't try to hit this note? Yes, I love the music in Don't Be a Menace, and the emotional-driven soundtrack of Boomerang. But I'm sorry, if your soundtrack includes Flipside, Naughty by Nature, Cypress Hill, Salt and Peppa, and Pac-Man himself, then you get my vote for being hard as fuck. That's exactly what the Deep Cover soundtrack has. Number 3. Now that I've gained my thug points, it's time to go shopping. The 80s and 90s were nothing if not an economical deflation for material goods and a generation of mindless consumerism. What could go wrong? And yes, 10 Things I Hate About You had the teen angst music down to a T. Can't Hardly Wait and especially American Pie had the A-listers, but there's one movie that took the idea of a rich American aristocrat and satirized her life to the sounds of David Bowie, Cyndi Lauper, and the Cranberries. That movie was Clueless. But it's not the big names that gets this soundtrack my vote. This was mainstream America's first time listening to bands like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Radiohead, and even the Smoking Pipe. And whether you like it or not, these are the bands that influenced a future generation of musicians. So, like, whatever. Number 2, we could have a full debate about the definition of a movie soundtrack. Is it a compilation of artists? Does it include original songs by an artist? How about a full original score? And trust me, many people have debated this. But here on whatever website is paying me, we respect all forms of art. That's why we want to pick an original score. You know what? Holiday movies. Those always have original scores. And yes, how the fuck could I talk about holiday movie soundtracks and not mention Danny Elfman's amazing work on Nightmare Before Christmas? But there's only one movie's original score that not only defines a millennial kid, but also gets confused for actual Christmas carols, and that's Home Alone. What better soundtrack than this amazing composition from John Williams to bring you back to the days of carefree booby trapping? This soundtrack is the anthem to our spoiled, independent, self-centric childhoods. Number 1. Oh, there were so many options for number 1, and I'm sure you think you know what it is. Trust me, you have no idea. And yes, I considered The Matrix because I love Rage Against the Machines, but I don't think this melodramatic new metal compilation defines us as a generation. Same thing goes for those of you voting for the Crow soundtrack. And of course, Half-Baked, Reservoir Dogs, Hackers, and a slew of other 90s alternative flicks had a very close chance of making it to number 1. My number 1 includes rock from the Presidents of the United States, the sick flow of Snoop Dogg and Warren G, ska riffs from Less Than Jake, and arguably the worst R&B cover of a Police song ever. My number 1 is actually Nickelodeon's Good Burger, and I'm serious. I actually still listen to this album and I know it word for word. I'll even admit that this entire album is a child-catered mess of musicians just trying to make some money. But I'm not even mad, bro. The obvious avoidance to cursing, drug use, and sexual activity makes this mix of cursing, drug using, sexual deviance the most entertaining soundtrack to make it to the big screen. Much less the little screen. Because it's for kids. Play some music.